Yay. No. How am I live right now?
Walker. Oh, hey, look at this. Wait, we got someone who's trying to connect. Oh, it's JT trying, but device is not connected. Keep trying, buddy. We'll get to you. And he's still in the chat room, guys. Unfortunately, I don't know how to post his chats, so you're going to have to deal with me for a minute. How's my audio, by the way? Someone chime in the comments. Let me know, because I had to mess with it for last week's show, and I didn't write down the settings. But yeah, okay, Rural Farm Boy. There we go. That's me. We got maybe Steve? Oh, we do have Steve. All right, we're bringing in Steve.
Hey. I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be getting a new invite or something, or what the hell's going on. But hey.
Oh, what's going on, man? All right. Well, we got 2/3 of us here.
Yeah, 2021.
Yeah, right.
Nailing it already.
Nice job. Yeah, yep. I thought we needed some positivity tonight. So first off, as you can see, this is the way. So that's my new swag. And also my
I mean, when
drink of the night.
you look down, you could tell exactly what it is, but other than that, it's a little tough.
Yeah. So I'm drinking out of the Celebration 2019 glass because I really wish I was in Chicago drinking this rum and coke, getting
Nice.
some fabulous deep dish.
I have water because I drink way too much over New Year's, and I don't want to touch any alcohol anymore.
I can totally feel you on that one, buddy. Yeah, no. With the way things have gone lately, I figured I needed a reminder that there are times when people come together in large groups that, one, don't get sick from doing so, and two, they actually get along and love each other. So here's to actually like the positive side of Star Wars fandom. We all like that part, right?
Yeah, there's part of it there somewhere. It's not on the internet, though.
All right. Yeah, it's funny. We've got this topic tonight about Last Jedi and Alan Dean Foster's version of it. And I'm reminded of the Rose Tico quote from the Battle of Crate, where she's like, you win by saving what you love, not destroying what you hate. And I wish the planet would kind of pay attention to that quote, because it'd be really nice if, people just got along a little bit more, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, it's life.
Yeah, exactly. But have you had a chance to read that article?
I have not, because not gonna lie, I usually never do. And that's because I just like to feed off of you guys and getting it and like getting initial like honest reactions right away instead of having them canned for later in the night. So honestly, I really was waiting for you and John to go over the thing, and I was just gonna riff off of it.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
I feel like it's more natural that way,
See, Joseph Friend, smart man. Cheers, my friend. I think that's the best thing about doing this remotely now, is that since I don't have to drive home, I can, have it one or two while I'm doing my thing.
Yeah. I mean, there was nights that it didn't stop anybody, but I mean,
you mean the nights we'd show up like 30 minutes late because we were at Pounders First anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, Rural Farm Boy chiming in. So who else in the comments here is drinking tonight? I want to be known as the drinking show. Let's take over the mantle from Brews and Blasters.
Well, again, water out of a Walt Disney World mug, by the way. So definitely going rough tonight.
I would actually talk about what my New Year's was like, but I've been sending apology texts all day, so I think you kind of get how my New Year's went. I
only had to apologize to myself because it was just not bright.
What'd you end up doing?
Gwen and I sat here and watched movies and did way too many shots. I did, after about 3 years, not that you could see it, I did finish the Stranger Things Lego kit. Finally. Yeah, that damn thing was sitting there with the house completely done and one of the trees done for like a year. All I had to do was finish the other tree, and I just never wanted to get around to it.
Oh man.
And I finished my my Iron Man mosaic Lego kit, and that hurt like hell.
Lego. It was a Lego kit.
The Rego. Rego kits.
You sure that wasn't a portrait of Iron Guy?
It was Iron Guy, and it was a Rego kit. I believe the actual instruction book said Block A was the name of the company.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. JT can't even figure out how to get in the show, but he's going to complain about what we're talking about in the way.
Yeah. Well, if he'd get in here, we'd be able to talk about it quicker, wouldn't we?
This is what happens when you say, I'm not going to share the article until we go live, just so you guys can have an honest reaction to it. Then we try to solve for time, and it doesn't happen.
Bring it up now.
I
Screw
can
it. Where
totally
is it?
talk. Don't worry, I got plenty of thoughts on Star Wars. All right, Steve, we're gonna pivot here. We're gonna talk High Republic.
All right, you talk. I'll listen.
I was gonna say, let's start with Steve. What do you know about the High Republic?
I found the thing that John says about the retcon.
All right, so the High Republic, if you remember, I'll give you a quick history lesson here. So it was supposed to come out last year. It's this big initiative amongst comics and what did they say? Comics, magazines, and books that covers about like 200 to 300 years before the prequels.
Okay.
So we get to finally see the Jedi at the height of their power. Like they haven't been corrupted yet. The Sith haven't returned and none of that stuff. And it's this big publishing / multimedia initiative that's going to, span all these different things.
Right.
They've said that Yoda will show up sporadically because he's, only going to be like 600 years old at that point.
Oh, okay.
And there's a whole bunch
youngin'.
of other, yeah, right. And the big baddie is some group called the Nihil, I think, or something like that. I mean, I want to get your take. Are you interested in seeing an era of Star Wars that we've like never witnessed before, so it's completely uncharted territory? Or is it hard to get into something where there's like no attachment to the stories we've already heard?
I'd be all right with that. Because honestly, like I was saying on the last show, part of what I was really enjoying about The Mandalorian was the fact that, yeah, it was set during a time frame that we know, but it was all new characters, and I actually really love that idea. So having something that is just 100% new to what we know about Star Wars, I'd at least give the thing a shot. What's the worst that can happen? It sucks. I mean, like, I would totally be cool watching something like that, honestly.
Yeah, I'm always weird with these sorts of things that don't exist in like any sort of like a visual format, at least like like animation or TV or movies. Because, I mean, I guess with the comic books, you're going to know what these people look like and what the ships look like and all that stuff. But most of it's going to be left up to your imagination.
Right.
And I wonder if this is how like Harry Potter folks felt as the books were coming out before the movies started.
Before they got the movies, yeah. I used to ask Gwen that all the time. I was like, okay, once all these came out, because she was like one of those be at the bookstore at midnight for the releases kind of people. And I was like, well, when the movies came out, did it translate for you? And she was like, oh yeah, like so and so fit, but Hermione, I think Hermione was like black in the books or something like that. Like it was something it was something totally different. So Gwen was like, yeah, that just was like a total thing that threw off on that. But yeah, when you try to make your own visual story and then you get one on the actual screen, but for somebody like me that doesn't read the books or anything, that's all gonna be new for me anyway. So I'm not gonna have like when I never read the Harry Potter books, so when I saw the movies, they were just who they were. So the show's not really going to affect me. Like they're going to be who they are. I'm not going to have a pot to piss in pretty much about complaining about anything from the books, because who the hell knew it was a book? At least for me.
Yeah, I'm not going to skew off into Harry Potter territory for too far, but
right.
Like I saw the movies in bits and pieces, and then you can go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your free audiobook and a 30-day trial, and maybe get a Harry Potter book. So I got the books that way, and like once I was into the books, God, the movies are terrible. I'm sorry.
Really?
It was so jarring to like see the rest of the movies after the books and then be like, well, that's not it at all. That makes no damn sense.
See, that's why I don't bother reading, so the movies don't get ruined for me.
What I wonder with the High Republic, though, see, reading does suck. Just wait for the audio, at least. But what I don't get about the High Republic is they announced this last year, pandemic happened, and then everything got stalled. Like,
Right.
What about writing a book gets interrupted by working from home?
That's a good question. You think you would? You think you're writing the damn thing from there anyways, wouldn't you?
Right. Yeah, like what? I don't know how you could have a delay in processing when everyone's working from their house anyway. Makes no damn sense.
Nah. Probably just laziness and nobody's forcing you to wake up and things like that. I don't know.
I guess. I don't know. But I wonder like if they made any revisions to the stories based on the stuff that they put out since then. Like maybe there's like some Mandalorian tie-in stuff now that like didn't exist because the authors hadn't seen this season or something, you know?
It's possible.
Like oh, what was I trying? There was something I noticed like well, like in the Bad Batch, for example, how Fennec Shand is in it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's this like retcon sort of thing where they tell a story from like a previous era and they throw in like these characters to like make it all connect, even though you know that was like never the plan in the beginning.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's like anytime now there's a book and all of a sudden death troopers are everywhere. I'm like, you know, those didn't exist before 2016, so just stop it. Like, I wonder. Okay, so like, who was it here? I think it was Rural Farm Boy here. Yeah, Rural Farm Boy said he listened to the audiobook story on Wednesday. So tell us in the comments, man. Is it any good? Like, I'm gonna have to check it out because we're kind of at a lull right now for new Star Wars, right? Like, we got these books, and then what? I think the next thing we know is Book of Boba Fett coming out, right, Steve?
Yeah. Which I think is late this year or late next year. That's supposed to be.
Do we know when Bad Batch is coming out?
You know what? They've had to post something online that I just have not seen. So, little Google search
teaser
might.
trailers. I just assume that it's ready to go.
You think so?
So still, that's a pretty like weak slate for this year. I know we're so
Yeah.
spoiled now. It used to be like one movie every
The
3
first
years.
Google search just says 2021, but no like month or day or anything. So it says this year.
All right, then we'd better love the High Republic because that's all we're going to get for a while, I guess.
Yeah, at least for. I mean, and I would assume it would be late in the year just because Mandalorian's been late every year. So probably a November, December kind of thing.
Yeah, didn't the I think the post-credit stinger didn't say December? I think it's basically taking the spot
That
of,
I don't remember.
I think it's basically taking the spot of the Mandalorian, except it's starting like a couple months later. Which I get. Like they couldn't do any production. Usually they'd have had it filmed by now, but they're just filming it now instead because of the lockdown and everything. So we'll see how that goes. But we're gonna be back to one of those evergreen shows, man. We're not gonna have all like the new Mandalorian episodes and stuff to talk about the whole time.
Well, that's why we got good things. Like we talked about it last week. I don't know if I want to share any of the good stuff we were talking about or 2 weeks ago, but we have ideas that we can mess with and try to get some show fillers and make something funny and hopefully visually entertaining for everybody.
Well, you know, let's get our cameras and microphones working first.
Yeah.
We are missing the opportunity to rip the ever living shit out of my brother tonight.
Yeah.
He's not even on here I don't even know if he's in the comments section anymore. He's just gone.
Do you want to know what I do? You know, we for years we have broke down the fourth wall and talked about things that go on behind the scenes here and stuff. I come downstairs, I plug an Ethernet cable into a 75-year-old laptop that just won't die, and then I flip a switch on the board and I'm here. And it works.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, I heard this podcasting thing is so easy, and then we tried. I'm like, wow, I must be a friggin' moron.
Yeah,
because this is really hard. Okay, but let's actually talk about the thing we advertised, though. We could talk about the story in a couple details here. So this Alan Dean Foster expert, we'll say, since he's written for Star Wars, I guess. The one thing that stood out for me, and I think we both stopped at the same point in the article, Steve. Remember his explanation? Because one of the criticisms of Rise of Skywalker is how is Rey so powerful and adept at the Force this quickly? And do you remember what his explanation would have been for that?
I don't remember, but I'm trying to look at the article now.
Part droid.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow his explanation for Vader being so powerful is because he was part droid, not because he was that good with the Force. So his explanation for Rey being so powerful was, well, she couldn't be that powerful unless she had robot parts.
Well, when we, now that you have reminded me of that, when you did bring that up in the text thread initially, the first thing I said was, oh, so it's another guy trying to just take ideas from the original trilogy because they can't let go and throw it into the new trilogy to say, this is what's going to make it better. And like all the lame ideas of just trying to essentially refilm 4, 5, and 6 to say this is how the sequel trilogy is supposed to be better. That doesn't do anything to help Star Wars or make things better if you're an expert or self-proclaimed expert or not. You know, just stealing ideas from Lucas and ideas he had in the 70s and 80s is not making the sequel trilogy better, quote unquote.
Right. Like we've discussed previously where each movie like fits in its role in the sequel trilogy, and episode 7 really needed to be the movie that it was. Like you totally needed to pull on nostalgia to hook a new audience back into the franchise. I get that. But to then just like try to recycle everything as much as you can, like, hey, remember this? Like that's Rian Johnson may have gone too far in putting new ideas into the saga, but you cannot keep leaning back on 4, 5, and 6 over and over again. Like,
and honestly,
like
that's
tribute act.
Yeah, like, and that was kind of part of my argument on the last show too, of how much I love the Mandalorian, but kind of hated all that stuff. Like the whole Luke thing was really cool, but it's just like you said, the constant leaning on the original trilogy is just, we're at a point where it's not necessary anymore. You can write good stories without constantly having to do exactly what you said and go, see, look what we got here. Remember these guys? Hey. Like every time somebody complains about Star Wars, Lucas and Disney just go, here's a Boba Fett show. Oh, yay. It's just, it's not necessary to do all that stuff. Remember, if you go back and find articles from like 1983, remember people said that Star Wars sucked back then. You know?
Well, that's a big change overall, and this might be veering too far off course, but remember, it started as like one guy's story, and he told his story. Now we're in the era of the fans kind of demand and drive the story. A lot of the changes to 9 happened strictly because there was so much backlash to 8.
Yep.
So, you know, you get this Alan Dean Foster guy coming in, and it's like, oh, that's not how I would have written it. Let me tell you about my story. How is that not just fan fiction?
That's pretty much what it is. That's what, I mean, it's what everybody has been, well, not everybody, but everybody who hates the movies has been doing. All they do is say, well, here's what I would have did. And honestly, nobody cares what you think. Not to be mean, but the fanfic that you write in your basement of what you think that the sequel trilogy should have been like doesn't make that the sequel trilogy now. It can be to you, but
yeah, it's like those persistent rumors. Every other day, Google News has some other site dredge up an article saying that there's a rumor that Disney may retcon the sequel trilogy right out of existence. They'll make another 7, 8, and 9. Like, no, they're not going to do that.
No,
like as much as
if somebody else buy
it exists.
If Disney wants to get rid of it someday and sell it to the next highest bidder, and I was going to say Fox, but they're owned by Disney now. I think the whole world is owned by Disney right now.
I was going to say, who's going to buy it now?
But yeah, if somebody else wanted to buy it someday and they want to retcon it out, that's one thing. But like Disney's not going to admit that they didn't like or that the movies were bad or whatever and retcon them and rewrite the things. It's just not going to happen because they're not going to admit that they're wrong. Two, they're not going to spend the money to redo 3 movies.
Exactly. They're not DCEU. Sorry.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, that Zack Snyder series coming to HBO Max just cracks me up. I've never heard of them taking a movie and making a mini series out of it as like a recut or a remix. That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Wow.
My good God, as bad as it was, they just took Suicide Squad after like what, less than a year. They were like, yeah, we're just gonna remake another one. That one doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. Nobody watched it. Who cares? Who was even in that movie?
Trying to tie Joker in. They're just like, you know what? Here's just another version. I don't know.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But the droid parts thing on Rey cracks me up because wouldn't that make R2-D2 like the biggest badass in the galaxy? Which we already know he was. But I don't remember seeing him ever use the Force.
No, I don't think R2 was Force sensitive that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that the droid parts thing is just absolute crap. And hell, I'd wager this. If Alan Dean Foster actually had better ideas for the story, they might have actually used them. I'm afraid like this might be like his rejected script that he's just shopping around now because it's like a good time to pounce on the one that nobody liked.
Yeah.
Like I would
It's possible.
He's just like that guy in the corner like, I said all along.
Yeah, he's the guy in the tinfoil hat with the world is ending or the end is near sign wrapped around his neck.
Right.
But yeah, like but Anakin was he was the chosen one before he was part droid. So obviously, I mean, they weren't talking about his midichlorian count in episode 1 because they were like, oh, you think this guy's got some droid parts in him? He did build that. He did build that damn unit out there. You know, it's maybe he's got some droid parts.
Force, there is no way the Confederate side would have lost. I mean, they had like how many thousands or tens of thousands of battle droids?
Yeah.
Imagine if those were all Jedi. Like, here's 10,000 Jedi coming at you. Have fun.
They were all Jedi rejects. Roger, 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 Roger. Incompetent Jedi rejects.
See, here we go. This is a fantastic comment. Nick Hartley coming in like a beast. Check this out. 789 will be the backdrop for expanded media storytelling, same as OT and PT. Side stories and in-betweeners make each trilogy better. Exactly. That's why the Clone Wars is so highly regarded, because they took movies that people pretty much pooped on, and then they told all these stories in between that made them like interesting. So this whole thing of like, I think this is like, Steve, this is going to be a topic that I was going to bring up at another time, but we'll just go into it now because, frankly, I don't know what the hell else was in that article about Alan Dean Foster anyway. Literally, the first point was droid parts. I'm like, I'm out. Cashed. So, with all these Disney Plus series coming out and how great The Mandalorian is,
right?
Do you think that they have a problem with movies now? Like, we're so used to getting a weekly chapter of like a 6 or 7 hour story. Can they really tell a satisfying 2-hour story at this point? Especially because they're not going to lean on like the Skywalker saga to tell a continuing story across the movies.
They are professionals, so I would say yes. But at the same point, I think the fan base is going to get so enamored with these, like you said, the 7-hour, 12-hour, whatever stories we're getting told on a weekly basis, that I don't think the fan base will ever be happy with what they get in a 2-hour story. Now, like I think the fan base is always going to want more and want more detail, because now we are getting such good stories handed to us on a weekly regular basis. And this is only based off The Mandalorian so far. And I guess you could put the Clone Wars in there since we did get an extra season of that since Disney Plus launched. But once the Boba Fett show comes out, once the Obi-Wan show comes out, when you get Rogue Squadron, when you get Ahsoka, when you get all these TV series thrown in your face, I don't know if movies are going to be enough for people in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm not really sure where they fit in the storytelling strategy because it seems like that's what every fandom does these days is they take in a movie that lasts, like I said, like 90 minutes, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and then immediately start picking it apart and
Yeah.
complaining about all the stuff that wasn't explained or all the plot holes.
Yep.
Like it feels impossible as a storyteller
Yeah.
to tell
And like Tyler says on
satisfying
the
story
screen
that way.
there, like Tyler says on the text you put up there, one of our problems, well, not so much problems, one of the talking points we had talking about the sequel trilogy in the past couple of years is that we felt like parts of 7, 8, and 9 were rushed, almost like they were told you have X amount of time, tell the story, and when you have 5 pounds of crap in a 3-pound bag and you have to start eliminating things, those of course are the things that we are going to pick up on when the movie's over and say, well, where was this, where was that, where was this, where was that? But with the TV shows, you could get away with more, not only because you have 6, 7, 8, 12 hours or whatever to work with, but chances are better than not they're not even going to handcuff you on the TV shows. Because you've noticed, I don't think one episode of The Mandalorian is the same length as the next one. One is like 45 minutes, one's 56 minutes, one's an hour and 7 minutes, so they're getting everything they want in there without having to feel pressed for time. I mean, unless they try to show up to Disney with a 2-hour TV show or something. And honestly, I don't even think Disney would care about that. They'll probably just chop it into 2 shows and go on about their business. So, I mean, they're not going to be pressed for any kind of time on any of these TV series, especially going on to a streaming service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Eric brings up a good point here. I was thinking about this too because they've said that all these new series coming out, like Ahsoka, Rangers of the New Republic, Book of Boba Fett, and The Mandalorian, are all going to tie together, right? They're going to culminate in some big event.
Yeah.
Do you think that's where movies can fit in this format now? Is like you have all these interconnected stories on the streaming service, and then like the big event, like the quote Avengers film of the, whatever, is the movie. Like that's where your big climax comes for all these series at once.
It could. That would make sense.
I mean,
like you said, I mean, if they
change, wouldn't it? Like, because right now you get stuff like Tyler and Nick were pointing out here, where they talk about how the series come from movie plot points. Like you use the series to fill in all the plot points of the movies. What if it reverses? What if you get like all the series and then the conclusions are the movie?
Be all right with that. It's a hell of a way to sell a movie, I'll tell you that much.
I mean, is it too much buy-in for audiences though, to sell a movie on the premise of, I hope you watched these other 4 seasons of television first?
I don't think so, because that kind of just falls into a sucks to be you category if you didn't watch the TV shows, right?
Yeah, like I have to go back to like the Netflix Marvel series. Like, did you watch The Defenders?
No.
Do you know what The Defenders is?
I think we watched Daredevil. I think that was the only actual Marvel series that we watched when it was on Netflix. Everything else we skipped.
But so you know what The Defenders was, though? That was like the team up series. That was their Avengers, basically.
Yep.
See, I wish you'd seen that, because I'd be interested to know, especially because you haven't seen the other series, if that was like worth anything to you. Personally, I happen to like the individual seasons better. I thought the series were better than the culmination, but yeah, I wonder if that's what they're planning, is something like, just the expectation now is everybody's got Disney Plus. Otherwise, you wouldn't be showing up for this, right?
Pretty much.
I mean, they've done a good job so far. I can't think of a single story that has been like completely dependent on something else.
Right.
No matter what movie you pick out of like a lineup, be it Rogue One, Solo, um, any of the Skywalker saga movies, they still stand on their own, right? Like you just walk
Yeah.
into a theater knowing nothing and at least have like a satisfying experience.
Yeah.
In fact, I think a lot of times with movies, you end up having a more satisfying experience the less you know, because then you can't poke plot holes and everything and be like, oh, that doesn't make sense because of this story that I heard from 7 years ago. And
Yeah. Flip side of the coin, though, is people like us seem to get more of a kick out of the movies knowing the Easter eggs. So I guess it's 6 one way, half a dozen another, I guess.
well, yeah, they've got like two different audiences to serve, right? They've got to
Yeah.
serve like the ordinary people walking in off the street who maybe got dragged there by a friend or a significant other or something, and then they've got the diehards like us that are like, okay, we are gonna hold you to the coals if you don't get this right.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right though when you brought up like the Avengers thing, where it's like they can take the MCU rulebook essentially and do the same thing with Star Wars, where it's just like you said, it's movie after movie after movie, or it's series after series after series, and then have multiple uh group things. They're like you said, they're Avengers. Where it's a movie or it's something in a series. It's a part to a series or something. Like they have a nice blueprint to work with because they only nailed the entire damn thing when it came to Marvel. So
right? Yeah, I feel like the movies have some pressure off of them now. Like they can take a breath because one, we expect annual Star Wars now thanks to the streaming service.
yep.
And with all those stories coming out, there's not this like pent up demand. So if they want to take like 5 years between movies, as long as we're getting new stories every year anyway.
Yeah, I don't think too many people would even notice. Honest
Yeah,
to God, like if you keep getting handed these Disney Plus series, it's going to be like 4 or 5 years down the road before somebody stands back and goes, "Hey, when the hell did we see a movie last?"
yeah, like they announced Rogue Squadron for what is it, 2023?
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're still 3 years out from the next movie. And as excited as I am to see Star Wars on the big screen again, I don't know about you, but it didn't really phase me. I wasn't like, oh
Yeah.
my God, 3 years for a movie.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you're still like, well, I'm going to get this, and this handed to me in the meantime. So
I like
it
this
doesn't.
idea. I like
Yeah,
this
it doesn't
idea.
feel so bad anymore. Like back in the day, it was like, Jesus Christ, 3 years. Now it's like, whatever.
Yeah, like I love this idea because one of the things that bummed me out in thinking about it was like I said earlier, George Lucas made movies because he had a story to tell. And he didn't bother making movies unless he had a story to tell. When Disney took it over, it became a studio system where it's like,
Yep.
okay, let's milk this for all we can and let's just keep cranking out stories because the box office demands it. Maybe now they don't have to do that because they've got Disney Plus to keep feeding that cash cow, and they can use the movies as true like artistic experiences where they're like, okay, now we got a story that fits on the big screen. This needs to transcend television.
Yeah.
That'd be so great to know that every time you see a Star Wars movie, it's truly an event again instead of just, the
Yeah.
figured
Instead of
corporation
just a
wanting their money.
quantity over quality thing, just to throw it in the theaters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's feeling more and more like Star Wars is kind of like the MCU, doesn't it? Like they had a few missteps at first, or they didn't really know what to do with it. And then once they figured out the Infinity Saga for Marvel, they were like off to the races and everything started connecting and making sense and feeling cohesive. And
Yeah.
it feels like once they announce this new slate of projects, everything is way more in lockstep.
It does now. Yeah. There's, like you said, there was a point in time very early in the MCU that people don't even remember anymore. Like the Incredible Hulk and stuff like that.
Steve, I have breaking news.
Oh
We
God.
have a third person trying to join the show.
Oh boy.
Now, we're in a really good conversation right now. How long should I make him stew in the green room?
Just let the silence take over for a minute. Not which is good.
All right. Maybe he's got something to say about all this. Let's find out.
Maybe.
Here, man. All right,
Hey,
thanks,
look at
brother.
that.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that guy who couldn't get his gear working finally got his gear working. What's up, brother?
How about that? Look at that. What the hell?
I'm gonna say I was really expecting to see his face and get no audio. I really was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, is my level okay, or do I need to boost it a little bit?
Yeah. I gotta say this is educational, man. I've never seen this interface before because I've never been the one running the show.
Yeah. No, it was, dude. All I was doing was I was trying to fix that hiss that I've had, and then it was like literally a slider in the control panel. I had everything open. The show was ready to go. I was literally just sitting here screwing around, and I did the slide. I looked up a video on how to fix that, hit the little slider, and everything went to hell. I was like, well, this isn't any good. So
you do that all the time, man.
Oh, it's terrible.
We've I don't know how much you've been able to listen while you've been troubleshooting, but we've kind of hijacked the show into another topic.
That's fine. We can do that. We can do that other topic another time.
So yeah.
So it's nice of you to join us. So we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, on that note, we'll close up shop for the week.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, if the Mandalorian can go all sorts of different times, so can we.
Yep.
Oh, that's hilarious.
No, I'm not sure, like, JT, how much you've been able to hear so far.
Not much. I've been on the phone with Aiken troubleshooting.
Okay, well, we've been talking about where do movies fit in the storytelling format now for Star Wars with all the streaming services, streaming series having so much success.
Well, personally, I think I think that they have a huge future. Personally, Tyler, yes, we have. Where you at here, man? There we go. Tyler, yes, we have actually considered that, and we probably would. It's actually pretty easy if you don't suck at computers like I do. So, Joe, yes, I found a button that did not end well. That is exactly right. It's exactly right. Yeah, no, I think they have a big future because I think you've got that you've got a budget there, and I think people are always going to want the size and scope of those stories, you know. I mean, because I mean, as awesome as it would, I mean, think about it. We've had movies released through Amazon Prime now, and they're cool, and even though they're $20 or $30, if it's a Star Wars movie, like, yeah, is it awesome to sit there on your couch and watch it at home and, you know, have this all the comforts of home? Is that cool? Yeah, but is it way cooler to have it on like a 60-foot screen with the sound blasting you out and having all your buddies around, you know, and going and, you know, having that theater experience? I think there's definitely a huge place for that still. I think there always will be.
So stack up something like a season of The Mandalorian, comparing that to going and seeing The Rise of Skywalker or Last Jedi. Like, which one do you think is more satisfying?
See, that's really hard because I kind of view them as two separate things. Like, The Mandalorian was really satisfying because you have something to wait for every week, and the story was really cool, and you got all these surprises and everything. But there's that build up to the movies that takes a year or two, and it's a completely new story. You don't know what's coming. And again, it's just that there's also that theater experience. You know, television's television. Like, you watch everything on television, so that's not anything new. But how often do you go to a movie theater? So it's kind of more of an event, I think. So it's almost to me like two different things. And they're both excellent, don't get me wrong. But, you know, I mean, like, was I super excited for season 2 of The Mandalorian? Oh, yeah. But am I really pumped up to see Rogue Squadron in 2023? Hell yeah. And probably, and more so because I want to go to a theater. Like, but then again, is that because of my age? I'm 44 years old. I've seen everything in the theater. So I kind of equate that, the theater experience, to that's how I watch Star Wars. That's my way of viewing it. I have all these amazing memories tied to going to the theater and seeing it there. So that could be tainting my outlook on it too. So
Yeah, it's
take
weird.
that for
It's
what
kind of
worth.
like, sorry, it's kind of pivoted recently, hasn't it, with this whole like golden age of television where TV stories and TV in general used to be a step down from movies. Like you knew when you were going to see a movie that this was like a big deal. This was like the top level of storytelling. If it was in a movie theater and it was, they took the time to pay the money to make a movie of it, it was really top tier stuff. TV has gotten so good. I don't know if that's still the case. I don't know. Steve, what do you think?
I was actually just trying to play off of what you were saying right there. It's like these guys get such a budget and they have such a, like we talked about it on the last episode, the way they film the Mandalorian and stuff is so like it, the way they filmed the Mandalorian kills like every single movie that came out over the last like 20 years. Like the budget and the stuff they used to film it and all that. Like a movie that came out in 2010 would have absolutely killed to have half of what the hell they do for a TV show. So yeah, I'm not really sure. Yeah, like
the storytelling format, like the long story serialized format on TV now, like we talked about, you can fill so many more plot holes there. But the same thing goes on. If you guys have any shows that you follow on a weekly basis as they come out on streaming, because it's
not
the same
really.
thing. It's just a shorter news cycle. Like for 6 days, people lose their minds. Like, well, what about this? This doesn't make sense. I think this part really sucks. And then, like, the next episode comes out, and everyone's like, "Oh, now I get it. Okay." Like,
Yeah, I
so
think The
instead of
Boys
years
was
of
like the
poking plot
closest
holes, you
thing.
start doing it in 6 days. Yeah.
Yeah, I think The Boys is the closest thing I've had to an actual like streaming service show that I've stayed caught up with, other than Mandalorian and stuff.
I mean, I watch Cobra Kai or Stranger Things, but those are bingeable. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
it's not the situation of waiting every week for it. I'm with you, Steve. Like the Boys is, I love that show, and that's probably the. I mean, prior to that, it would have had to have been Castle Rock, that Stephen King show on Hulu.
I don't even think I ever watched that. And our house loves Stephen King.
I hate to say this, but I didn't like it. So the story was confusing as hell, and it would start to get awesome and then just go off in some weird, like, what the hell's going on direction. So, but look at our uncle trolling us, the old bastard. Look at this.
I used to think I wanted to grow our audience, but if this is how it's going to go, I'm rethinking that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. He's, like I said, he's an old curmudgeon. So what the heck, He's got that blurry Facebook profile picture. I don't know what that is. That's definitely not 1080p. So, anyways,
you wouldn't know what that is. It's
Yeah.
color. Give him credit.
Exactly. he still thinks chocolate milk comes from brown cows. That's a family joke there. That's our uncle, by the way. Yeah.
No, like I equate like the sort of backlash with these storytelling formats, whether it be TV or movies, to like reading a book and like putting it down every chapter and getting mad about anything that doesn't make sense yet. Like, okay, you hadn't read the whole story. That's why it doesn't make sense yet. Wait till you get to the last page, then figure out if there's anything missing.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But,
That makes perfect sense.
Now, like, wait a minute. Luke took Grogu, and we know that Luke's Jedi Academy burns down a couple of years later because Ben Solo becomes Kylo Ren. Does that mean we're just waiting for Grogu to die in a fire? Like,
that's what everyone's saying. Yeah. What's up, Johnny A? How's it going, man? Yeah, that's what I keep reading. And that I mean, Steve, you sent us that meme today. Saying that now it's basically
here's a Boba Fett show.
Yeah, everyone's just expecting Grogu to die. Like, why can't he survive? You don't know that he's going to die. I mean, who can tell for sure?
I'd actually wager that's
things that
like odds on he's going to survive. Everyone thought as soon as Clone Wars even existed and Ahsoka came on as a character, like, well, she's got to die. She's not going to survive Order 66. We know they all died.
Yeah.
Like I say, anytime you want to say that something's not going to happen in Star Wars. They've pretty much told us now that it probably can. I mean, there's nothing that they're not going to do. They pulled Boba Fett out of the Sarlacc.
Yeah.
All
There's
these.
nothing you cannot do without the help of time-traveling space whales.
What are the things called again? The
Purrgil.
Purrgil. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm telling you, that's when I sign out. If I see live action space whales, I'm out. I'm getting these tattoos removed. I'm selling all my crap.
We're going to be watching one of the greatest Star Wars movies ever known, and then right at the end, right at the climax, here comes Ezra on a space whale.
That'll be me like, peace, later, guys.
Not even like inside the space whale safely, but like on top, riding it like the bomb falling on Germany in like was that Heavy Metal or something?
Oh yeah,
just riding it like woo. I mean, he already did it with those giant space manta rays in one of the episodes of Rebels, like at the mining colony or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they like just jump off a cliff and then like just came up and like, hey, I'm on a manta ray, yay!
Yeah, I don't know. Like, for me, I will never ever stop going to the theater, and I think it's interesting now because with this whole COVID thing, I mean, you would have to think that the theater will be a pretty popular location once everything officially opens up again, because people are going to want to get the hell out of the house. So I think for a lot of people, it's going to be a big deal. So
yeah, like the novelty is back, right?
Yeah.
People really took that for granted before, like, oh, we don't need theaters. I can watch it at home and I can go pee when I want and I do whatever. But now the fact that we don't have that as an option, now we're like, oh, that would be pleasant, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I looked up the other day because I know some theaters are still open, like Cinemarks. I mean, I was driving home from Lima the other day and I drove right past a Cinemark that's right off one of the exits that I passed. And the parking lot was half full. And I was thinking, oh, man, I wonder what's playing. And there's nothing I want to see. But I'm not even going to lie. They have that private showing, and you have to pick from their list of movies, and it rotates. And one of the movies right now is Anchorman, and I'm thinking, you know what? I would spend $100 and get 20 of my friends to go in there and get drunk and watch Anchorman at this point. Like,
yeah,
because I haven't been to a theater literally since. I mean, I know I saw something earlier this year or last year. I don't think the last time I was at the theater was Rise of Skywalker, but no.
I honestly have no damn idea what mine was.
Yeah, the last time was the Rise of Skywalker, so you're looking at over a year since I've been to a movie theater.
That's probably mine too then.
Same, yeah. But from what I hear, for the most part, I think the pandemic may have saved theaters more than hurt them, because the movie slate lineup that did come out on streaming has been like iffy at best. Tenet was supposed to be the big tent pole, and that thing is a convoluted mess, even for Chris Nolan.
Well, yeah, his movies are all kind of like that. I heard that was really good. Yeah. Well, at least we've got Coming to America 2 coming out in March, first week in March, so that's good. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's two. Back to the original conversation. I think it's two different things, which again I think is kind of a good thing, because especially for Star Wars, they give you all these different. They give you all these different ways to enjoy the content. I mean, they've got the novels and the comics and the television shows and the movies and all this different stuff, the little kids cartoons on Disney Plus. It's like, it's kind of interesting to absorb it all that way. I know right when you guys started, I know AJ, you had asked Steve about the High Republic. Like I bought the book and I used an Audible credit first thing Monday when it came out.
You didn't go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your free audiobook download and a free 30-day trial?
Oh, you blew it. See, you're a rookie. That's why I lead the show. But yeah, so, I mean, I want to know what it's about. And when they first announced it, I was like, yeah, okay, I guess I want to read about this. But now that I'm kind of into it a little bit, it's interesting. It's cool. It's a different thing. I'm still at the very beginning, obviously, but it's cool. It's a different way to experience Star Wars. It's characters and things that we've never heard of before. So I like it. I like it a lot. And I think that's one of the cool things about Star Wars, is that they present so many different forms of media to us. And, as we've said before, it's cool. You don't have to get into all of them to understand the overarching story. So, I'm into what they're doing.
They really could go either way. And this is what we were talking about right before you joined, is which way the stories feed. Like, the Clone Wars is awesome because it fills in all these plot holes from episodes 2 and 3, right? Like, we get all this characterization that they just didn't have time for in the movies, or maybe patch some plot holes while they were at it, whatever. So in that case, it was movies that told stories that gave the TV shows a jumping off point, right? But then they've announced all these interconnected series on Disney Plus, where you've got The Mandalorian, Rangers of the New Republic, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka, that they've said it's all culminating in some big like crossover event, right? What if that ends up being a movie?
Yeah, I mean that would be huge.
Which way do you prefer? Do you prefer like the movie as the jumping off point and then all these like series have places to go? Or would you rather see all these like long form stories culminate in one big cinematic event?
See, I think it's difficult because I don't think you can really do it in a way where it makes sense to do it any other way than have the movie be the jumping off point the way Star Wars is doing things, because you can't do a whole bunch of long form novels and comics and all this other stuff and then, okay, we're going to tie it up in 2.5 hours in a movie. I think we saw that, the Rise of Skywalker, as much as we liked it, some of us, it suffered from that. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it worked perfectly. I mean, that's an awesome way to do it. We have 23 movies all going into these final 2 chapters, but even then, they didn't just say, okay, here's one 3-hour movie to tie up 23. No, they did 2 3-hour movies, but all those other stories were self-contained in their own little 2.5-hour window. So there's almost so much information in Star Wars that I don't think you can do it that same way. I think you have to do it the opposite. Like have the movie be like a jumping off point, like a big bombastic beginning, and then have everything kind of go off. And then maybe like tie it together in the middle. If they're going to do another trilogy, have like the first movie and then all this other stuff, like the books and all the other ancillary forms of media that they're presenting stuff in, and then have it come together in a second movie. Like maybe there's like this huge event that happens. You could show the event in the movie, and then that provides a springboard for all this other stuff that then leads into, a movie at the end or something like that. But I think to just start off with a whole bunch of books and then build it to one movie is just there's way too much to present it in one movie to cover all the ground they would be covering.
Yeah, I mean, now that you explain it like that, it does make sense to take all the long form, super detailed stuff that you'd have in the shows and then try to do the big Avengers movie. You would still suffer because you're going to be used to getting all this detail, and then you're going to have to get cliff notes in the movie to cover all the bases, and you're going to end up leaving the theater going, okay, but what about all this extra detailed stuff that we're used to having that was not there in the movie that we just witnessed? So yeah, it makes sense. Like you said, John, like movie beginning, movie middle, movie end with all the stories in between kind of thing. That would probably work out pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't see how they could do it any other way, because I mean, we've talked on the show before about, do we have to watch or read all this stuff just to understand what these stories are going to mean going forward? I mean, I wondered that about Resistance. I watched like the first 2 episodes, and then they stopped putting them out on that Disney app. And I was like, well, am I missing anything by not watching this? And when I found out that I wasn't, I just kind of tuned it out. I didn't keep watching it. So here's a good question to this. Okay. Nick asks us, would you all agree that the side stories in most cases make the movie better? Yeah, I would agree with that. It gives depth to them. I think the perfect example is the novel Catalyst. It's like the precursor to Rogue One, and
that's a good one.
Yeah, and I think it's awesome because when you read the book, and you follow it up with Rogue One. It's like so many things in Rogue One are much more enriched. It's like a much bigger story when you realize like what's going on and stuff. You know, like, you know, we know that, you know, from the message that why am I drawing a blank? What the dad? What? Why am I drawing a blank on the dad's name in Rogue
Galen
One?
Erso.
Thank you. When Galen, we know from the message, the hologram, that Galen Erso was kind of forced to work on the Death Star, but in the book you find out that there's way more to that story, and that it's really kind of servitude, and it's, you know, it describes how and why he actually put that flaw in the Death Star. So when you have that background and then you're watching the movie, you see what's going on screen, and it looks like this little 30-second bit about, hey, look, I'm a hologram. I'm seeing my daughter for the first time. But when you know all that other stuff, it's so much more cool because you just feel like, ooh, yeah, all this other stuff happened and everything like that. So I think the side stories make the. What do you guys think?
I don't know, because you guys know I've been a movie guy for forever. Never read the books. So honestly, like the Disney Plus stuff is like going to be my first step into side stories for Star Wars. Honestly, like, yeah, we had like the Clone Wars and stuff like that, but was that really like? I mean, I guess that is a side story that did make episodes 2 and 3 better because you knew what happened with the Clone Wars, I guess. So, but yeah, for the most part, like you guys know, I never read the books, never been into any of that stuff. So, I mean, up until now, I've only really been a movie and a Clone Wars guy. So, in the one instance that I know, yes, it made the story better.
What about you, AJ?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a tricky balance, right? Because you want to tell a complete story every time you go out, but you got to find those little pockets where you can elaborate on things. Like you said, Rogue One on its own is fantastic and complete. But there's that whole backstory of how did Galen Erso even come to be working on this project? Like, why would a scientist, a peace-loving scientist, design the most devastating weapon in the history of the galaxy? And you find out that it was all under false pretenses and he was manipulated and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, there's that. But we've talked about this before. There's always that concern of walking into a theater and feeling like you're getting an incomplete experience because you know they're holding things back because they've got a novel planned or a Disney Plus series or a, you know, comic book or whatever.
Right.
So while I do like the supplemental material, I always struggle with how I feel about it because I either know it's supplemental, which means I don't really need to concern myself with it if I don't want to, or I'm mad at it because it's a required extra step to get the complete story.
Yeah. No. Look, Eric Geyer says only a movies guy. Boo! And then he backed off. He said, "I'm just kidding you." No, don't back off. You could boo any one of us all you want.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We could take it. Our opinions suck sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so here's a blind spot
I don't have time to read. Damn it.
Here's a blind spot in our extended canon, though. The Gendy micro series, the original Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Now, Steve, you've seen it. I know that.
Yeah.
I have not.
Well, if you've still got anything that plays DVDs, I can loan it to you.
Well, of course I do. I'm not you. My whole house isn't run by Alexa and Google.
They're listening.
God, I know we have that over here somewhere. Unless that's the one that you have right now, AJ. I don't even remember. Shit.
And
no, because remember, I thought I had your copy, and then we found it in your DVD.
Yeah. That's what it was.
So that's the one that actually
manufacturer who gave it to me. I have no idea who.
That's the one that actually introduces General Grievous the first time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one I got that.
Much like
that's
the
one I got that big ass poster over there with all the that laminated poster with all the characters from there.
Oh,
yeah, right. Yeah,
it's been rolled up underneath the thing over here for like 6 years.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a fun Easter egg of that series. Is Boba Fett was introduced in the holiday special before Empire Strikes Back. Same thing with Grievous. Grievous came out in the cartoon series, the Gendy series, and then Episode 3 came out. So And they were still like so far apart, which I guess is kind of also an Easter egg callback, but still.
Right. So Nick thinks we should do a live watch of the and how would we could put it up in a window, but isn't that like copyright infringement?
Oh, we would get smacked down immediately. Yeah.
We could you know what
we could do live react, but we just can't show the image.
Well, no, we could do it live on StreamYard. It's just as soon as it hit YouTube. I mean, do you think it would stop the StreamYard, or would it just like live, or I think it just doesn't.
StreamYard doesn't stream to anywhere. It just posts the stream to YouTube and Facebook. So as soon as YouTube and Facebook get wind of it, they're going to cut off the stream.
No, I think it's going live. It should be going live right now on YouTube. It doesn't just post it when we're done.
Well, right. That's what I mean, though, is as soon as YouTube gets wind of it, they're going to cut the stream.
Well, that's what I'm wondering if they do it in real time, or is it just, are they going to see the video later? But
right.
I mean, we could always just send out links for people to watch it. We'll do one that doesn't go live over the air. I mean, hell, we're already going to do one of Star Wars Cards Against Humanity with everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not a bad idea. With the exception of, we have tried to do 2 different live watches in the course of our podcast. Neither one of them amounted to very good stories to tell.
Well, that's the alcohol involved, man. Like,
well, what, you think we're gonna just sit here and watch those things without alcohol? What the hell's wrong with you?
There's got to be a way somehow. There's got to be a way.
No, there's not.
There is not a way to get through the Ewok movies without alcohol. Okay, I defy you. You wouldn't even participate in that, so you wouldn't know.
I knew I'd just be crapping all over it the whole time. Like
You would have been too busy laughing. You would have been too busy laughing at all the glass clinking on my floor because I kept announcing every single time I had another empty beer bottle, and I would throw it on the floor.
See, and you don't drink, so like 4 beers for you, and you're pretty tore up. So
I had an entire case of Land Shark watching that movie.
Oh my god! Wow, man, Nick's drinking right now. There we go.
I think I did like 9 or 10.
Now, JT.
Yeah, we have to go back and listen to that, AJ. I'm pretty sure I hit double digits on the beers that night.
Yeah.
And then we did the wrong damn movie. We watched them out in friggin' order, and we started it when we were sober.
Yeah. The live
JT,
react. Wow.
Yeah. There you go. Tyler, we've been trying to do this for years.
I'm down.
JT will not watch it.
I'm down.
I have to admit, I would do it on live video. Like, I want everybody else to be able to interact with us while we do it. You know what I mean? Like, I really want to do that. But
okay, we're gonna have
to
go like underground for this, right? Like, we're gonna have to have like 2 streams. We're gonna have one stream going that's just the video, so like the media is playing on one stream, and then we'll be on the other one. So we won't have the actual film on our stream. No problem.
Well,
no
you're the tech guy, so if you can figure that out, I would totally do it.
We'll just have to tell everybody, you got to hit these 2 links at once. You got to watch, picture in picture.
Yeah.
Click. Yeah.
Look at it this way. You said AJ's the tech guy. When we tried to do the Ewok movie, he turned his laptop around to stare at the TV so I could watch the movie. That was the tech that we got.
And you're the one that's good with computers of the 2 of us.
The level of tech knows no bounds on this podcast.
Oh my Lord. So, so since we're over an hour, why don't we actually do a quick discussion of our Cards Against Star Wars idea that we came up with, which I think is going to be awesome since we're talking about drinking and live streaming this, that, and the other. So we always had this idea to try and play Cards Against Star Wars live on the show. And I have a set of cards, and so does Steve, but AJ does not. So what we want to do is set up like a Friday or a Saturday and do like a special broadcast and just be like, hey, we're gonna have drinks and everything, so it might get a little nutty. And we're gonna play, and we're gonna have the people in the chat actually be the judges as to who gets the point. So, oh, look at this. There we go. Look at this. My buddy Joe, he already knows how to make this happen. So there we go. See, we'll get with Joe. We'll get with Joe. He can be our producer now. Joe, you can be our producer.
Hired. We pay for
Watch out,
shit.
Steve. Watch out, Steve. You were our producer. Now you've been promoted to co-host.
Yeah.
That means you got to watch stuff and talk more.
Exactly. You got to pay attention. But
Well,
yeah,
I'm out.
see ya. But yeah, so we want to do it live and just have it be outside of the normal broadcast so people know that if it gets silly, they're not supposed to take it seriously. But we thought that'd be cool, man. Have everybody in the chat kind of decide who gets the point based on what we're doing.
It's gonna get silly if you've never been involved in anything like that or that card game. It'll get very silly very quickly because the cards are friggin' ridiculous.
Yeah,
No.
and thankfully, having a bunch of Star Wars nerds to judge us, they'll get all the humor, so that's good. I tried playing this game one time with a bunch of people who had only casually seen Star Wars. Like, I don't understand this. I'm like, oh, this is no fun at all, man. You suck. There we go. So Joe says he'll do it. He says he charges $5 per co-host, double that for Steve, because I don't think he'd listen to me. You are correct.
First white card I just pulled out of the box. So if you think it's not going to get silly, if you think it's not going to get silly really quickly, that is the first random card I just yanked out of the box right here.
You couldn't have pulled one without a curse word and put that one up on the screen, man.
I didn't say it. It's fine. Hold on.
We already get flagged all the time for adult content on YouTube. We're trying to avoid that.
Second card. There we go.
All right, hold on. It's blurry. Hold on. A Jedi Master's constant trolling of their students. Oh, boy.
See?
See, and with the different,
what's the black card that goes with that?
Yeah.
First black card.
Blank is the only chance of stopping the Empire. See, that first white card would have worked for that potentially.
Yeah, exactly. See?
I think this is a good idea that'll inevitably go bad, but that's perfect for our show. So, all right. Well, you want to close it up and get out of here for tonight, since I've
never done this. This is exciting. Hold on a second.
Okay.
All right. On that note, I think we'll close up shop tonight. Thank you guys for showing up for another episode of the Nerfherder Council. I have been AJ, your host for tonight. JT was not because he can't figure out basic technology.
It wasn't my fault. I'm telling you.
You never interrupt the closing. Stop it. Anyway, you can reach us on all the social media platforms. We are obviously streaming on YouTube and Facebook. You can email the show at nerfherdercouncil@gmail.com. You can also find us on any of your major podcast apps, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, any of those platforms. Don't forget, you can get your free audiobook trial at audibletrial.com/NHC, and you'll get a free audiobook download and a 30-day trial as well. They've got lots of free content on there that you can stream anytime you want. So it's not just the audiobook. There's more than that. You can interact with the show. We are live on Twitter all times at NHC Podcast. I am at Drake Adams 579. He's JT.
At Dog Pound Jedi.
And he is Steve.
At JSteve1005.
And we will catch you next time.